So yesterday after IPv6 talk, I had a chat with a few folks in the back, and then they said, you know what, it's all great, very interesting information, but I've heard that back in 2006. So what's different this time? You know, it was also around the corner, it was all coming, and it was all about to take over the world, the whole IPv6 story. I already heard that. It's a boy that cried wolf. So here I am to talk to you without the slides and show you a few things on the screen. It's going to be literally 3, 4 websites and 1 document, and to show you that, well, to introduce you to the wolf. Now, the first website is something that we at Cisco maintain as a kind of help to the industry, to the community, which aims to answer precisely this question. So where is IPv6? And if we go to 6lab.cisco.com, then you get to this website, which collects the information from various sources about the current state of IPv6 deployment. And it collects it by looking at 4 different angles. So first of all, it looks at IPv6 prefixes in the internet. Then it looks at the autonomous systems on the internet, how many of them are transit for IPv6 versus just IPv4. And then finally, a couple of probably more interesting parts is web content and users. And so the web content is something that is checked based on the Alexa top list of the website. So I'm actually not going to dwell too much into that one, but I will talk a little bit more about the users, because wireless LAN is first and foremost is the access technology, right? So if we look on the map for the users, for the world map, I actually use that as a good example. Okay, well, if it does show up, it's very easy to find Belgium, because it's the greenest. So we do have 2 sources that send the data here, and depending on source, the results, of course, a bit different. But basically, about 36% of requests coming to Google, Facebook, from Belgium today are coming over IPv6. From you? No. I don't use Google that much. I wish I would. Well, of course, you say Belgium is a tiny country, all right? So, well, we have another country which is also fairly green, and, well, that's US. So yesterday I retweeted the screenshot of IPv6 slide of IoT, and then I got in a reply, well, kind of an abbreviation, FIPv6. So I don't know whether that's something a provocation or not, but I just replied with the link to this map, which says that every 5th request to Google in the US comes over IPv6, right? And if you click on the country, you will also see the graphs which are showing the evolution of this process in time. So you see that in the US, this process actually started, well, sort of a while ago. And back in 2012, the percentage of users was 1.15. And then it rose, well, kind of evenly. And lately, it has been accelerating, then it slowed down, and so on. So you will see that, well, now it's pretty much almost 21%. Now, if you look at different countries, so for example, if I can get to it, well, Finland, right? So 7.1% today. And if we go there, well, you see that it actually was not that much, 0.31% in 2015. Except then, well, one day it just went from 0.56 to 6.42. So that was a few ISPs that enabled it. So actually in Finland, the situation was fairly interesting because that was kind of industry-wide action, coordinated action, which led to enablement of IPv6. And same sort of similar thing in Belgium as well. So it was 3 larger ISPs that enabled IPv6. So of course, these are kind of smaller countries. That's why you see these jumps. that are very, very shocking. So anyways, I invite you to look at your leisure at this website and play around with the maps. So it's 6lab.cisco.com. And since I have just above 4 minutes left, I'll talk about another thing. So you see in my browser, I actually have number 4 here. So that's a browser extension that tells me whether I retrieve this page over v4 or over v6. And as you move around the networks, that can be something that is interesting and funny to see. So you can install IPv4 if you run Chrome, or you install IPv6 if you run Firefox. Well, and that's kind of I search for IPv6, and yeah, so that will be the Chrome Web Store. So that's something that you can install to get this nice-looking number, which will tell you whether you're retrieving the pages over IPv4 or IPv6. And if you click, well, you get this nice list. So I'm connecting over my hotspot, so it's all IPv4 only, so I get only IPv4 content. Now, another website, if you don't have this extension installed, so if you are on iPhone, for example, you can go and say testipv6.com, and then it will do all the magic behind the scenes for you. Well, so you'll see that, well, indeed, I'm roaming from Belgium, and my service provider doesn't have IPv6 yet. So if you have IPv6, it will show you the IPv6 address. So that's a very easy way to test from the client devices. And finally, well, hopefully I've shown that, well, IPv6 does indeed come this time. And as you start moving into the process of working with it, there is one useful document that I wanted to share, which has been written by the group of people within the RIPE community, which I show you how to find. And it's actually aimed at the residential ISP help desks. So it's the first level help desk. But that's something that you can, of course, apply to enterprise help desks as well. So IPv6 troubleshooting for help desks, and that comes up. So that's a fairly long document, but what it has is basically a basic test, which you can ask the user to run. And that's a flavor of this test IPv6 website. So, okay, well, it tells me that I'm on IPv4 only network. And then the user can take this link and send it over. For example, if you're troubleshooting the network, the user can send this link over to you. And if you click on it, you will get exactly the same screen as the user sees. And if the user has IPv6 connectivity, then what this thing will do, it will as well probe a lot of IPv6 enabled websites all over the world. So if the user complains specifically about v6, then you'll know, okay, so what's the worldwide state of IPv6 connectivity for that user? Can it access the whole world, or can it access only some of it? So that can help as well from the troubleshooting standpoint. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all I had. So I have 1 minute left. Thank you very much.